And welcome to Pixelated Harmony, the voices behind video game music. I am pumped to introduce our next guest. I had the pleasure of interviewing him actually on LAN parties a few years ago, and I am super pumped to just catch up with him. Known for his work in things like the Outlast Trials, Halo, and one of my favorite all-time games, Deathloop. Please welcome in Tom Salta, award-winning composer, songwriter, and producer. Tom, how have you been, my friend?
I've been great, Brian. Thanks for having me. Man, you like
Absolutely.
Deathloop, huh?
Just a little
Crazy.
bit, just a little bit.
Just a little. That was such a fun, crazy, unique game. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and again, I don't, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you taking the time. I don't want to take too much time, so I just want to jump kind of right into it. And I know a lot of times, and you probably hear it all the time, oh, how did you get into music, this and that. I kind of want to skip past that part, and I want to jump right into getting into video game music. What did that story look like? Just kind of. How did that happen? Was that something by design? Was that something that you worked towards? Or is it kind of a happy little accident?
Oh man, it was a very uh challenging transition that occurred. That's the seed planted in 2001 when the music industry kind of started to tank.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you have the high speed internet and people just downloading music and for free and LimeWire, Napster, and stuff like this. So I had all good intentions to be a big famous record producer, man. My idols: Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Quincy Jones, Mutt Lange, Trevor Horn. That's it. So I wanted, I'm a songwriter, producer, and then that happened, and I'm like, wait a second, what happened to the chance of me making a living doing this? And I was married,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to reinvent myself. And it was, they say when one door closes, another one opens. So around this panicked moment in my life, I'm playing Halo in 2001, and I'm playing Rainbow Six. It's new Xbox. You got this Xbox Live thing. I was a beta tester for that, actually. I was playing Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, one of my
Oh.
favorites. And one day, it's literally was like, what? It was like an epiphany. The light, the clouds opened. I'm like, wait, I love, I've been a gamer since the 70s, right? And it's like, this is it. This combines everything I love. It combines video games, it combines music, and oh my God, I have to do this. I have to do this. That was when the seed was planted. And then, actually manifesting that took a little bit of time. That took a couple of years. That took a couple of years. But, uh, you know, trying to keep the long story very short, I had a rude awakening, thinking that when I went to E3, all these video game companies would just be bending over backwards, like, "Oh, Tom Salta, welcome into the video game industry." What was I thinking? No one really cared about the records I worked on and what have you. But I did come home, besides with my tail between my legs, I
Mm.
did come home with an observation, which was, you know what? I get the sense that these companies don't really think that, composers are very cool, but they do
Mm-hmm.
kind of think that artists are cool. Because I
Mm.
was seeing all these artists, they like, ooh, Crystal Method and, you know, Chemical Brothers and Moby
Yeah.
and, all this stuff. So I'm like, wait a second. Hmm. No one knows who I am anyway. Why don't I just become an artist and do an
Mm.
album of electronica under some fictitious name and make this crazy cool album cover and whatever and become that artist? And so I decided to name myself Atlas Plug, and
Yes.
Atlas is salsa backwards. Plug is the opposite of unplugged, which is kind of like acoustic. So this was electronic music. So I did this whole entire album of music because I knew how to produce and songwrite and everything else. And I
Mm-hmm.
signed with a publisher. And before I finished the record, Microsoft came by and decided they wanted to license 4 tracks from the album before I was done. And that
Wow.
game was Rally Sport Challenge 2. And that was the beginning. That led to more licenses and Crackdown and Project Gotham Racing. And then I got hired to do Need for Speed Underground 2, which was one of my first scoring gigs. And then years later, I got an agent, and then I got a chance to pitch on Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, and then the snowball started kind of rolling down the hill. And 10 years later, I was working on Halo Master Chief Collection, and original Halo scores and stuff like that. And here I am now. So my gosh, it was crazy. It's a crazy journey. I wouldn't
Well,
recommend it. It's very, very
yeah, I mean, well, and I feel like with so many other things too, not only does it take skill, but there's also a bit of luck that comes with a lot of things too. And like, how was it that they heard your music even before, and all of a sudden they're reaching out and approaching you saying, "Excuse me, but we'd like to license a few of your songs."
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, I have a very strong feeling about luck, which is luck is nothing more than when preparation meets an opportunity.
Mm,
So what happened was is that the publisher that I signed the music with, representing my music, had connections in film trailers and video games. He was
hmm
friends with the person at the time who was choosing what music to license in certain video games. So he
hmm
was showing off his new catalog and the new hotness, and my stuff happened to fall across the desk, so to speak. And he heard it, and he's like, "What is that?" Right. I want that. I want that in the game. And that's what happened. And then actually the same thing happened. The game, this is a little historical trivia for you. Do you know the first car commercial that ever used 100% video game music? Excuse me, 100% video game graphics to advertise a real car.
VW.
Volvo S40. So Volvo came by, they cut a deal with Microsoft to use Rally Sport Challenge graphics in their car commercial. And guess
Oh.
what song they heard? They heard 2 Days or Die, which was the title track on the record, so they put it in their commercial. So, all of a sudden, I kinda hit the scene. That was really lucky, because the stuff was there, it was ready to go, and the opportunity came by, and so that gave me a nice big launch,
Yeah.
but it didn't seal the deal as far as me getting a chance to score, create
Mhm.
original music. That was a whole nother thing. But eventually, enough persistence. That's why I named my company Persist Music. It's like I will not give up.
Yeah, it's like
you know,
whether you may say yeah, exactly. It's like you may say no today, but I'm gonna try again tomorrow, and I'm gonna keep trying until you say yes. And
well, that's right.
yeah, and I think that's so important too. Not only I guess just as life in general, but is that something that you also kind of take into crafting music? Maybe you're working on a project or something that you just kind of get stuck, or you're just you're at a place and you're just like, I'm not feeling it. Like, what do you do? How do you kind of get out of that funk?
Yeah. Well, the creative process is a very unique. Um, Often, it's a mental exercise. There's this discipline that you have to learn the art of controlling your focus,
Hmm
and learning to let go of your analytical brain and embrace this sense of play, because
hmm
true creativity just comes from when you are playing, when you're having fun. And as soon as you start feeling that stress, that adult aspect of it, the creativity just goes away.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much what writer's block is. You know what I mean? There's no shortage of creative inspiration. There's no short creativity is happening every second. It's just a question of tapping into it, being in the right headspace, and
hmm
so I'm human. So just like everybody else, if I'm not feeling it or whatever, it's usually because I'm just trying too hard, not having fun, tired. I need a break, and really, I think the most effective thing is just as simple as it is: step away, change, go take a walk, go do something else, and then come back. Just pushing through, pushing through, pushing through, and forcing it is not really the way it works. That's not to be said. I don't
hmm
sit in a chair for 8 hours straight and well, but you know what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
idea is, yeah, you have to keep working at it. And you got to keep coming back, and you got to keep coming back. But you have to also understand the nature of the flow. I find that you can get a lot more done in less time when you are fresh, when you are focused, when you're enthused, as opposed to just, pulling the all-nighters and the all-nighters because, doing what I do, I've done this for decades, over 3 decades now.
Hmm.
It's a marathon, it's not a sprint, so you
Yeah.
have to come back every day with the same energy that you had the day before or more. And you can't
Yeah.
do that if you're sprinting, sprinting, sprinting.
No, you're right. You have, yeah, there you have to pace yourself. You have to, there's gonna be the ebb, the flows, and you just kind of have to be able to manage that, but while still moving forward and not completely burning yourself out or neglecting any of the things that you need to do to be able to
That's
do
right.
what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's very much like an Olympic athlete. There's a lot that goes on besides the performance of the athletics. I mean, there's
Right.
the diet aspect, the sleeping aspect, the mental aspect. I've gotten a lot of benefits. A couple of years ago, I got into meditation, and that's
Mm.
been a huge help to me in ways I didn't really even expect. Just so there's a lot of self care
Yeah.
that. And I tell this to my mentees, and I'm writing a book about this and everything, that it's actually your professional obligation to do self care. It's not selfish because you need to keep yourself in tip top shape. And when someone hires me to do something, they want the best version of me.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't want like oh God, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I need to no, they want, so it's very important to keep that maintenance going. And a lot of that is self care.
Yeah, and I kind of want to dive into because I've messed around a little bit with meditation. It's something that I'm looking to do more,
Mm,
especially as I get older. Not only that, but like the first
mhm,
thing I try to do or I'm trying to do is
mhm.
stretch first thing in the morning. Just get my body limber and moving, and that wakes up your mind and whatnot.
Mhm,
What have you seen, or obviously you have seen, but like what kind of benefits are you seeing, or are there anything that I'm not saying that necessarily you would recommend, but what is
mhm.
working for you?
I'll tell you exactly. 20 minutes a day of it's called centering prayer, but basically another way of calling it is objectless awareness. So
Hmm.
it's 20 minutes where you basically there's nothing that you are focused on. It's basically you're observing your thoughts as you close your eyes, you have an intention in mind. I just want to be. We think, we're so busy doing things, do,
Yeah.
but we're not human doings, right? We're human
Yeah.
beings, right? And we forget that sometimes we just have to be. I
Yes.
love nature. I love just watching, just so anyway, it's really just a question of allowing all the thoughts, come through, acknowledge them, but don't engage with them and let them go. Everyone's like, no, I can't meditate, man. I can't clear my mind. Of course not. No one can. It's
Right.
not it's not about clear your mind. It's not this skill. Oh, they think some Zen Buddhist has this like a special ability to just have not a single thought no, of course not. Don't think of a white elephant. Of course you're gonna think of it. I mean, you can't control your thoughts. The question is don't engage with it. Don't go into that inner dialogue and that conversation. Notice, oh yeah, I'm thinking about that phone call I have to make. Okay, just let that go and then just return to the center. You might just envision, let's say, peaceful water. Anyway, it's that thing. It's constantly observing, letting it go, returning, recentering. Boom, 20 minutes a day. What are the benefits? I'll tell you from personal experience. This isn't something I studied. This isn't something
Hmm.
I read about. This is personal experience. So one, biologically, let's say, one, my memory has come back, right?
Oh.
And that's amazing because as I'm getting older, you get north of 40 and then you get north of 50, you're like, ah, yeah, my memory's shot. Well,
Yep.
that's because our brains are overstimulated. We have so much crap going on between these devices and every
Hmm.
ping, email, whatever. Your brain, it's kind of like you're driving at 90 miles an hour and you never let the engine cool down.
Right.
So what happens is when you do this meditation, your brain actually heals itself. It has a time. It's not the same as sleeping. Sleeping, your brain's really active. When you're centering, it's not. It's not. You're letting this stuff go. So anyway, literally my memory has returned to the way it was in high school. And that has served me in more ways than I could have imagined. Because even with my music, right, I have
Hmm.
tons and tons of like sample libraries and software and this, and I would forget half of the things I have. Now I'm like, I'm remembering things. Oh wait, from 20 years ago. That's right. I remember I had that CD, or I sampled this thing, or I created this instrument or whatever. So it's really just kind of helping me, like, it's like leveled up my brain as far as recall, which is
Yeah.
great. It allows me to tap into my creative center much more quickly. It has
Hmm.
allowed me to kind of let go of that egocentric way of creating, which is worried about what people think, worried about is it good enough, worried about if I am good enough to do it,
Right.
is it going to win an award, like all that nonsense is completely get in the way of it. It allows me to observe it, to realize what's happening, let it go, let it go, so I really can kind of just get rid of all the noise and all the extra red tape that's between my creative center, who you really are basically, and
Right.
creating. It like just helps clear the plate. And it's got all kinds of other benefits. It helps you think more clearly. It helps you, maybe not. It helps your mood to be more level. It helps you feel more refreshed. You don't feel as burnt. You feel more in
Hmm.
control. I can go on and on and on. It's really great. I'm actually adding that in the book as well,
No,
because that's part of it.
that's huge, and not only that, it's while that you say that, because that's something that I'm noticing too as I'm getting older. Just I'll go upstairs and be like, I don't even remember why I came upstairs, and then I'll go back
Yeah.
downstairs and then remember why I went upstairs and things like that, and it's just like, what is going on? So, that stuff is super important. Yeah, it
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Who
And I,
knew?
yeah, yeah, and you've referenced a book as well. Can you talk a little more about the book?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've been working on it for a little over a year now, and I hope to be wrapping up soon. It's going to be. I haven't landed on the exact title yet, and I think this is the
Hmm.
first time I'm publicly announcing it. But it is going to be a book about making a career as a creative, specifically in video game music, but a lot of the content on the technical aspects is going to go into things that apply to not just composing or not just music, but I mean, it could be for magicians,
Hmm.
it could be for any especially any creative outlet, and particularly for freelancers, because
Hmm.
when you are a freelancer you have to be self-motivated. You're your own company. You're your own brand. So, and no
Yep.
one's going to be telling you you have to do something. So it's like, how am I going to steer my own ship? And a huge part of that are a lot of soft skills, which don't really often come up in school.
Hmm.
That kind of stuff, whether it's, how to manage your clients, how to write a good email, how to read a room, how to network or meet people, or, all those little things. So basically, I'm treating this like I'm mentoring the people who are reading the book. It's stuff that I would
Hmm.
teach my own kids if they wanted to do what I do, which thank God they don't. And so all kinds of useful information. I think it is all encompassing. It's of the ecosystem, I think, of what is involved in doing this kind of thing, and especially doing it as a professional, and creating under deadlines, and
Hmm.
keeping your sanity, and and surfing the creative waves properly so you don't waste time, and even technical stuff. And I go into deep dives. There's a deep dive in Deathloop, about from
Oh.
soup to nuts, how everything came together, and it's great. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm writing it in a very non-linear way. It's kind of like, ooh,
Hmm.
this will be good in this section here, and then I'll go back to the beginning, and you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's it's a nice thing. So I look forward to getting that finished, and hopefully maybe we could talk about it when it finally comes out.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But obviously, while you're here, let's talk about some video games. I've got
Sure.
to start
Let's
out
do it.
with the Outlast Trials. Okay,
Mhm.
I got to tell you, I'm an absolute weenie. I don't know that I can play the Outlast Trials. I've watched people play it. I know the music. I know the Please tell me how. I mean, and especially too, it seems like you had some fun when you were creating the music and the atmosphere with it. It for me, or anyway, or somebody that's familiar with some of your work, I feel like it's there's some difference in a lot of variety within that genre that you got to play around with.
Man, I gotta tell you, this is one of those things where, and I'm so grateful for this. Those times in your life and in your career where you're like, you wake up and you pinch yourself. You're like, okay, I'm getting paid to do this. This is so much fun. Most people don't know. Those in the professional circles don't know that I am a huge Halloween haunted house like obsessed
Yes.
person. I'm the guy who, when I was a teenager, would be um, making haunted houses at Halloween, like walk through haunted houses, and we'd have these big parties, and I'd have smoke and lights and music and actors, and I'd build mazes, and I'd do the sound effects, and you know, it was nuts, and it went on for years and years. So I love, and then I'd go in, I'd be one of the people in the haunted house, or like jumping out. It was great. So I just love creating atmospheres and scaring the bejesus out of people. It's so much fun. I think I would get a huge kick of watching you, because I think that's one of the most
Oh
fun
my
aspects
goodness.
of the Outlast Trials. It's one of those things that it's almost more fun to watch other people playing it, especially like if you go on Twitch or YouTube and you see, the screen in the
Yes.
bottom, the streamer, and they're like, "Oh my god, oh," and they're screaming, and it's like, I love that. And what's even better is I remember when it first came out, there was this big, worldwide launch and everything, and
Yeah.
I was jumping around like a little kid, going between all these Twitch channels, and like all people around the world, languages that I don't understand, but they all understand the language of horror, man. And
Absolutely.
man, it is so great to just see people. It just touches people the same way. It's such a terrifying thing. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. And the thing is, with a game like this, you don't take it seriously. This is
Right.
this is an adrenaline rush, man. It's a mind game. It's and you have fun with it. I mean, I know the most kind, uh, gentle people like, "Oh, I love that game." It's just kind of like an outlet. It's a healthy
Exactly.
adrenaline rush, which, by the way, is actually biological. It's very good for you.
Mhm.
Um, so it's kinda like taking a cold shower. So,
Right.
yeah, I love it. I mean, everything from all the little diegetic music, like all the little cutesy songs that are, old-fashioned music on the radios or the lobby, or even in the root canal, that little, um Mother, Mother Gooseberry, she's our friend. She's like I was singing at my wife. I got my wife in here. We did the chipmunk voice, and I'm like, I just love the opportunity to just put all this juxtaposition. I think that's what's really cool. One of the first great games that really embraced this in a similar way. Remember BioShock back in the day? Gary
Yes.
Simon's amazing score.
Absolutely.
It's so great. I love games, and Fallout did the same thing, where it's like
Yep.
you have this old-fashioned music, which is complete, opposite of the mood of what the game is and what the score is, and it just becomes
Yes.
so much more effective. So when you put this ultra happy, almost too happy, creepy thing with, the super scary stuff, it's just, oh, it's great.
Yeah, definitely an uncanny feeling. Beforehand, have you played any of the other Outlast before working on this? Were you like familiar with like any of the story or any of the lore stuff?
No, no,
Okay.
I played, I think, a good 20 minutes of Outlast, coincidentally, years before, and I didn't get out of the basement. All I remember was that, like, I was hiding in the locker, and I just didn't wanna come out, because this guy was walking around, like, "What am I supposed to do? My batteries are dead. I don't know what to do. Why would anyone play this?" You know? But the thing about the Outlast trials is, like, this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but man, I can't really think of any other multiplayer horror game that has pulled it off like this.
Hmm.
The fact that you can play not only solo, but you can play with up to 3 other people at the same time. It's a dream come true. because that's
Right.
what you want. You want to have, that person who's super scared that kind of comes in and all you hear, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." I mean, it's great. You're laughing your head off. It's just like so. Being able to play with other people in real time, and I will tell you, not to get too geeky, but man, they pulled off some technological sorcery when it came to synchronized music over the servers. Because if you watch split screen like people at the same time, which we've
Mm-hmm.
done through other captures and stuff, the music is exactly synced, but you're going to hear a different perspective based on your situation. So if you're being chased, right? And you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
hear a certain kind of chase music, which supports the idea that, the person's right on your back, breathing down your neck, and oh my god, and crazy cacophony of madness. But then,
Mm-hmm.
if your friend is observing you and he's within, let's say, 10 meters or whatever, he's gonna hear or she's gonna hear a different version. It's gonna be a bit more thinned out, which is showing that someone is
Oh.
getting chased, but it's not you and so there's all this real time dynamic mixing going on, but it's all synchronized. It's pretty amazing. It's like watching the same movie but getting the score delivered in different ways.
It yeah. So like is that something like do you know like how they are able to accomplish that? And like cuz I know
Yes.
too and especially now music in video games is becoming more of a mechanic and complementary to actions and things that are happening or changing and being dynamic based off of what the character is doing.
Yep.
There is a ton of technology that goes into the back end to be able to
Ooh,
achieve
lots.
something like that.
Woo boy. Okay. Well, I'll give you the layman's explanation about this. I
Okay.
mean, I'm not a coder, but I know how it works. Basically, the idea is this: think of the game engine as the director, right? And think
Mm-hmm.
about the middleware, which is really the think about that as like the DJ in the game
Ooh.
was listening to the director. So the director is going to say, okay, this player is here, this is happening, this enemy is within this distance or this many rooms or whatever. And then, okay, so what do you got for me? So, the audio director will program all the implementation and I will deliver music in what I'll call, let's say, musical blocks that
Mm-hmm.
can be connected horizontally, vertically, all different kinds of ways. As some are synchronized, some are not synchronized. It's all designed to support the needs of the gameplay, so
Mm-hmm.
that and everything from that we call it all the let's say the tension music. They call it the proximity stuff.
Okay.
Let's say if you're hiding under the bed, and you'll hear like this if the enemy is within a certain distance and let's say door open, door close, all these little parameters which you wouldn't even imagine, the awareness of the NPC, um,
Mm-hmm.
the music. There's like 5 different layers of the music that will actually be real time controlled, like a DJ moving fade.
Oh, yeah.
And so, the heartbeat will start soft, but it'll get louder, but it'll also speed up. Then you have this first low music. Then you have this music a little bit higher. You ever play Dead Space?
Yeah, I have no, not Dead Space. No.
Okay. Jason Gray's one of the most terrifying scores, very aleatoric. Oh my god. That had some similar dynamics in it as well.
Okay.
With this idea of this multi-layer dynamic music that can be controlled depending on the situation and the parameters that they program. And that's really a coordinated effort between the audio director who designs and
Mm-hmm.
programs and sets up the rules, and the composer who has to create the music that accomplishes what the director needs.
So you guys are, I mean, so you guys work pretty closely then when you're crafting that, or essentially trying to lay that out and get that to be a mechanic to be within the system. You guys are basically working hand to hand when crafting that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, he'll do his best to explain, now I know, more or less it's a lot. It doesn't have to start from the beginning, but there'll be this explanation of what's going on, what the dynamic is. I'll he'll inform me about what the environment looks like. Sometimes I'll get screenshots, sometimes I'll get video capture. He'll tell me how much music, what's the length of it, how does it loop, where does it loop, how many
Mm-hmm.
layers, what's the gameplay, and then we discuss probably what's the best way to approach it. Then I'll do, as I'm creating it, I'll give him some rough drafts. He can check it out, might have some comments, and at some point he'll put it into the game, test it out, play test it, and then there's usually some final feedback sometimes, and sometimes it's right on, and sometimes it's not. And so it's just a lot of this back and forth. It's a collaborative team effort.
Yeah, I love that. And does that happen a lot? I mean, I imagine that happens depending on the game. Sometimes you're getting just like descriptions. Other times, you're getting screenshots. Do you ever get a chance to like actually like hop in and like play while you're scoring?
Oh my god. Um,
Would
well,
that physically be possible? First off.
yeah. I very rarely. I think what's interesting and cool about the Outlast trials is particular is that there's constantly new gameplay coming out. There's new DLC and there's new
Mm-hmm.
music. And yes, I have played the game. I've completed the challenges I got through. I've gotten free. I played the project uh Amelia. They had
Yeah.
a 2-week thing where you can literally get out of the trial. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get like, and that was awesome. So I've played it before, so I know what it feels like to play it, and I'm always trying to say, okay, wow, that was effective, or how could this be more effective? So now that I come back, I'm so familiar with it. It's easier for me to create stuff that I know that I will enjoy. I know the players will enjoy because we've done this already. At the beginning, it was a
Right.
little more difficult than that. But I've done everything from, Prince of Persia, the Forgotten Sands was one I had a
Yes.
chance to see the game and give a chance to play it without any music in it. But
Mm-hmm.
I've also had the opposite. I remember when I did Hawks, the original Tom Clancy's Hawks. That was a
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet. I got an Excel spreadsheet. That's it.
Wow. That is
It was
Here's
crazy.
words on
Fortunately,
this.
I mean, yeah, fortunately, I had just come off of doing Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, and I knew that this
Yeah.
game was basically the air campaign to support the air support of that game. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like I had to start a brand new style, but it
Right.
did have to change the tone so it felt like you're in the air. And I had to do my own little research and play testing by finding other video games that had, let's say, constant engine noise, because that's all it was. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's basically you're looking at the back of a jet and you're just
Right.
hearing, the whole score is played over that. So yeah, you just got to get creative, and that's why, being a gamer and being such a game enthusiast and a lifetime lover of game. I mean, I collect the darn things. I can see I have arcade machine back there, but um, it helps. It helps because I love the art. This is not a paycheck for me. This is a labor of love, and I'd be doing this if I wasn't getting paid, and I have. So I understand the art. I understand the what it. I'm a gamer myself, so this to me, this is just how I participate in the art and craft of something I love to do.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And like you said, I mean, some of the just absolute iconic games that you work on, so many, multiple Tom Clancy,
Yeah,
titles that you've worked on.
yeah.
I'm sitting here. Why am I sitting here spacing? Wolfenstein, Youngblood, was another one I wanted to say. That one, something. Oh, my goodness, let me just say, Tom, how do you get it to make me feel like I want to lift over desks and punch things? And when I'm listening to it, it gets me
Mm,
pumped.
wow, thank you. Okay, so it's very simple. It's very simple. The music is a language,
Mm,
and it's just like any other language, right? So the more you speak a language, the more you get fluent in it, and the more you know how to put a certain accent on or a certain nuance in the words. So for me, the music is what emotion sounds like, right? So
yep.
if you say I want to feel pumped, or I want to feel tense, or I want to feel, elated, or I want to feel like a Pyrrhic victory, or I want to feel like all this complex emotions. For me, it's the language that I speak, so I know how to, just weave certain sounds and melodic things and chords just to create that emotion. It's just a
Hmm.
feeling thing, honestly. It's for me, it's not like a book thing. It's not something that you have to analyze. It's something you feel. It's like I just, close your eyes and let's do it. What do you want to feel? Come on. And that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it sounds overly simple, but in a way it is. But it takes a lifetime to, I guess, get fluent like that. At least
Yeah,
for me.
and I think that's a great way of explaining it though, because that really is how I truly. I mean, obviously, we take in music with our ears, but for me, music is more of a feeling than also, not more so, but it's a part of it. It's just as important to me, the feeling of it and how it makes me feel and the sound of it. They're
Of course
both
it does. I mean, think
yeah.
about this, and you know this for a fact. I can give you so many examples, but just imagine, close your eyes and imagine you're looking at a hallway, like a Matrix thing where it's just a white hallway, right?
Mhm.
Now, imagine like the Outlast Trials music, like some tense stuff
Mhm.
to that. Okay. Now, erase that, dry erase that. All right. Now you're looking at the hallway. And now imagine you're hearing some like really peaceful spa-like music and just calm and pianos and beautiful. It changes the whole
It changes the whole
look of
scene. Everything.
everything's
Yes.
different. Everything's different. And I've seen you can go on YouTube and you could type Star Wars with no music or Star Wars with, the wrong music, and it becomes very comical. I mean, it's amazing. Music really informs the emotion, I will argue, more than the visuals. It
Mhm.
can completely turn something that is serious into something funny, or vice versa, or anything in between. It really can. Music tells you how to feel.
You're right. No, you're 100%. I mean, like even that experiment, and I hope those that are listening, those that are watching, I hope you played along. I hope you tried it as well because it literally is completely different. And you can take that example and put that with so many different things where it's just like and we talked about that a little earlier with the Outlast trials and just the juxtaposition of these creepy things with this very whimsical, playful music that makes it even creepier.
Exactly. Exactly. It's amazing. It's not just that one piece of music, but it's how they react together. Another way of thinking about music is really it's like cooking.
Yes.
It's like cooking because, if you take one dish, you can focus on making this one dish, and that's great. And there's certain ingredients, and you put a little this and a little salt and this spice and blah blah blah. It's like cooking, so that's one thing. But then it's
Hmm.
like, wait, what happens when I combine this with that?
Right.
Oh, wait, that's a whole different experience now. It's interesting. I think it's something that can take a lifetime or many lifetimes to just explore to one's personal satisfaction. It's an endless journey. I just love it. I just love it. And I just love the path. For me, it's like a way of being able to communicate with anyone around the world. And
Uh,
it happens. I get notes from people, like, gosh, Pakistan, China, Australia, you guys, like, people I've from places I've never even heard of. I'm like,
right.
and they're telling me how much it means to them. And it's like it'd be the simplest, little, most obscure thing. So music really touches people, and you never know how or why, or so it's wonderful. It's just a privilege, and I'm so glad that I've found that and discovered that calling, and I get to do it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's why conversations like these are so important too, just to be able to, because people do have strong emotional ties to music and in so many different mediums and whatnot, but especially for gamers.
Mhm.
I mean, I could think of music from when I was a kid that still resonates in my head, and it's just
Absolutely,
like,
it'll bring you
it,
right back too.
yeah, and those were
Remember
beeps and
exactly where
boops.
you were, or
Yes. Yeah.
mhm,
So it's yeah,
that's
it,
right.
it really is. It's so just powerful.
Yes,
And
and it can be very therapeutic. I mean, I'm sure you've seen these things where, let's say someone's completely senile. They've done things
hmm
where, like, let's say someone would not talk for a year, and they'll
hmm
play music from when they were a child, and all of a sudden you see them light up because
yes.
it touches parts in your brain that cannot that dialogue can't. that speaking can't. So it's
Yes.
a magical thing, and it's invisible. It's just a bunch of vibrations. It's unbelievable. I mean, when you think about it. But and I
I love it.
digress.
I love it. I do want to switch gears real quickly because I have to. I know that we've had the conversation about Deathloop before, but I have to talk about it because seriously, it is still to this day one of my all-time favorite games. Not only the gameplay, but the music in it is fantastic. Talk about that experience, especially something, and we kind of talked about this a little bit too, with like say like a Fallout and things like this, where you're almost in this time period, but not quite, there. And not only is it the lingo, the style, the design, but of course the music. And the music really is what kind of brings you in. But it's not like just please talk about it a little bit. What was the process? How did you get there? Why do I love it so much?
Okay. Now, I think you're talking about Deathloop. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Did I
because I
not
wasn't
say
sure.
the game?
I'm not sure you heard that, but okay. So Deathloop. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Deathloop was man. There's so much to talk about with this game. It's unbelievable. I'm such a fan, and admire so much of what they did with it. Because I will tell you, I'll be honest. I'm not shy about saying this. When I first heard, they approached me. I had worked with them before. It was the same team that
Mm-hmm.
actually did Wolfenstein Cyberpilot at
Yep.
the time. I think that was the first time I worked with Arcanion. And so when he told me that they're working on this game, then and it took place in the late '60s, and I'm like, oh no, not. I'm thinking Austin Powers, like, yeah, baby, yeah, Flower Child and hallucinogenics. I don't really equate late '60s music with, let's say, combat.
Mm-hmm.
you know it's not really known for its like, yeah, and so immediately I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, what do I do? So that was a challenge, and I know I'm going to forget to say this. I'm going to mention this right now. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to my website, tomsalta.com, and at the top, there's a masterclass tab. If you click on
Mm-hmm.
that, one of the master classes that I offer is a deep dive into Deathloop. And just the trailer will show you all the different, like, facets of what's going on in there. So anyway, just for anyone who's really an enthusiast, just curious to even look at that. So really the thing with Deathloop was this. It had such a unique identity that not only the plot, the premise, that was amazing. I love that kind of, it almost reminded me a little bit of Loki, in the sense
Mm.
of this. You got super technology, but you combine it into this old 1950s kind of looking
Yes.
thing, right? Fallout did it, right? Alternate universe 50s, wait, robots and 50s? Wait, no, that didn't happen. Alternate universe, and there's plenty of games like that. So one, I love that. I love the sci-fi, but it's like lost in the past, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
artistic. The artwork, the concept art, even that I saw, is gorgeous,
Yes.
gorgeous. And so it was a bit of a interesting start because the first thing that I did was a theme, a main theme.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't realize it's not the theme. No one actually heard it because
Ah.
I did this theme. It was very mysterious. They described to me like they want to sound like this lost island and very mysterious and the music should be very interesting. And I made this very interesting thing, and they loved it, and they approved
Mm-hmm.
it, and then I started, 2 months into the game, and I started seeing some of the captures and started hearing some of the dialogue and the banter between Colt and it was hilarious. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wait a second. This doesn't match the personality of the game. The game is much more
Mm.
bigger than life. It's very exaggerated. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's catchy. It's just so without telling anybody, I went dark for a week and and I started working on this other theme, and I wanted to do something like a James Bond meets Inception meets, I don't
Yeah.
know, just something, and something that had a very recognizable motif, something that looped, that
Mm.
repeated, but in a way that you just want to keep hearing it and keep hearing it and keep hearing it. So it's like, that's where I came up with the chords. Dun, 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 and that's it. Those notes, that's the whole theme. Because ding ding is the same as the first part. Ding ding. Anyway, not to get too deep into it, but it's so
Ah.
simple. And then I just created a musical recipe out of all 1960s instruments and effects. Even if I use
Hmm.
technology, it was meant to imitate and only stick to things that were available between 68 and 71. So I
Okay.
didn't use any reverbs past that. I didn't use any instruments past that, and but I did it with a modern sensibility. So it's kind of like I didn't want it to sound like it was some lost tape from the 60s, but
Right.
I did want it to sound like it was some room that was uncovered with dust and you open it and you take it out, but you use them in a modern way. And
Mhm.
that's kind of like a quick way of describing how I approached the the music, and it came out great. It's so much fun. Yeah.
It is. I mean, even it's crazy because like even going to like the YouTube comments, I remember somebody saying that I can't remember the exact title of the song, but it's one that has words. They say this is the only game I've ever listened to a song from the game outside of the game. It is in my regular
Wow,
rotation.
that's
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome. Eh, yeah, and you know what? Here's another interesting thing a lot of people don't realize. I did the score, but I think probably half of the music in the game was all the diegetic music, was all the songs and stuff. I didn't even do
mhm,
those. They had 3 other people doing that kind of stuff, and they purposely separated us, like, in a way where
ah,
they didn't want us to get influenced by each other.
right.
They wanted this separation to have the score so that that music felt like it wasn't score-like. They wanted to just feel like legitimate, like it
Mm-hmm.
was that was from there, and my job was to create that emotional connection to the game, whereas
Yeah.
that the diegetic music was all the lyrics and the songs and the thing the band is playing, or the guy up on the, you know, on the cliff,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
anyway, it was really, really, really cool, and, they really value music. Arcane really values music, and that audio director, Michel, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. He's a music lover. He really puts a lot of effort. He understands its importance, and he really supports the creators.
Yeah, and I that completely comes through. You can tell that just the labor of love from it, and just the way that you're like, how you explained it. It's like, yes, that is literally what you know what I mean. Like how you've explained it is what like I thought that I feel validated. Because I did feel like it's kind of like a like almost that kind of James Bondy feel, but like there's something, but like there's still this modern like a modernness to it and that mystery to it, but it very much feels like it fits in this weird kind of off time period.
Yes, it's like an alternate universe, but like a something, an offshoot, definitely inspired by that established, genre and stereotype. Yeah, it's really interesting. I love it. I love the game. I love the characters. It was just something. It's
That's
a work of art. Yep.
No, it really is. It really is. And again, that just making me want to go back and do another playthrough because it's been a little bit for me.
That took me a while. Man.
I mean, there's
Oh,
so many different ways that you can do things. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you could, again, literally, you could just keep playing the game over and over
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
So just to me, everything about it is brilliant. It's absolutely
Thank you.
brilliant what
Yeah.
you guys did, what you guys were able to accomplish and to collaborate and come together. It's an absolute, work of art on so many different levels. Again, that's why I had to say something about it because it still 4
Yeah.
years later is still fresh in my mind, and I think about it. And anytime somebody asks one of your favorite games, oh, Deathloop, dude, easy,
Oh man.
easy.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes. No.
Dude.
So thank you, and not only you, but like you're saying, the team and everybody that worked on that. It
Yeah.
really is a special game on so many different levels.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
again, Tom, I don't want to take too much of your time. Can you let people know what you're kind of working on now? I know we talked a little bit about the book. You're still cracking and working on that. What else you have going on in the pipeline?
Okay. I wish you, man, that, this industry is so darn secretive.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, well, I'll start with the obvious stuff is that Outlast isn't going away anytime soon.
Hmm.
And so I know that there's going to be more coming down the pike. I'm actually working on the soundtrack for the new volume 4, which is
Oh
going to
yeah.
include everything from, I think, when Franco shows up to now. And there's a lot of music in there. We've just been so busy, I hadn't had time. So I'm putting that together. Um, they I created some new music. I've been working on another thing most people don't know is Just Dance. I've been
Oh, that's
creating
right.
songs for Just Dance since Just Dance 2.
Gosh.
And I've done everything from originals to also recreations of songs that everyone knows, thinking it was the original, but no. So there's always stuff like that. There's some new stuff and the new version coming out. And there's this really amazing project I wish I could talk about. Um, you know, here's the thing. The game actually has been announced. What hasn't been
Ah,
announced is my involvement. So in order
gotcha.
to not violate any NDAs, I
Yep.
might encourage maybe someone to, you know, look at the games that have been announced, look at companies I've worked with, and I don't know, there might be a connection somewhere along the line, maybe,
Okay. Okay.
or not.
That's fair.
You
There might
know,
not
you
be.
never
Yeah.
know.
You
But
never
there's
know.
something that I'm already a year into, and yeah, it's gonna take a little bit more, but man, it's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Mm-mm. Mm.
I cannot. I
Sorry, I
cannot
can't
wait.
I can't say
Don't.
more.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Stop. Stop. Tom, again, thank you so much just for taking the time, jibber jabbing with me again. It was so good seeing you. Let people know where can they find your music, where can they find you on the socials, all that good stuff, brother.
Great. So right here, see Tom Salta. Boop. Let's see that. Oh, look at that. Yeah. So if you just type that into Spotify, you're gonna see a lot of stuff. Atlas Plug is my artist name too. So Salta backwards. That's easy. Um, and then my website, tomsalta.com. I think that's probably that'll cover a lot of stuff. I think. Yeah.
Perfect. No, that is awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, you can find Pixelated Harmony on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just look up Pixelated Harmony. Of course, you can find me on the socials. I'm basically Smitty2447 everywhere on all the socials. So just look me up. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next month.